My name is Eric Brown, and when I was president of the AGC, which was in 1999, I was with Shea Construction primarily, and then towards the end of that period, I started my own business and went on my own as Brown Contracting and Development. It would have been behind me as first vice president was Lonnie Cargyle, and second vice president was Steve Robinson. Well, unfortunately, there's something that occurred during my presidency which I would have done differently had I not been as busy with my businesses. But Ken Dunham, being the director at the time, was wanting to let go Carolyn Pierce, who was she'd been here like 30 to 40 years, and I didn't deal with it on the level that I should have. I just allowed him to make the decision. He let her go, and it was a major backlash from the members for that action. And we actually had a special board meeting to address how it happened, why it happened, and what we're going to do next. And so that was the biggest issue I wrestled with as a director, or as a president for that year, was dealing with the director and his staff. The goals were not substantial, but one guy picked up and ran with my goal, which I stated in my inauguration speech, and that was Tom Stewart. I told the crowd that, hey, I think we need to do something with the facilities here at the AGC headquarters. We need to remodel, add on, make it new. And although I didn't do much with that after that, but Tom Stewart, who was the president like 3 or 4 years later, basically organized a building committee and got the remodel done. So that was, I guess, one thing that occurred at the time. The other thing was that I tried to get the AGC to pare down our financial budget a little bit each year, because it's a fairly expensive organization to belong to, and we did a little bit of that, but not much. The thing I remember most was when I was inaugurated as a president in January of 1999, being at the Cortland Resort and having the convention there allowed me to use the fanciest room in the place, which had the overhanging hot tub and all this other stuff. So that was pretty cool. But the conventions were good too. We went to the National Convention in Las Vegas, and the mid-year convention in Chicago, and those were fun too. It was fairly stable. It wasn't really on fire, and it wasn't really depressed, and it was pretty active. 10 years later, everything went in the tank, but it was good then. Well, as a freshman at WSU, I got enrolled in construction management just because a friend of mine said you should go into that. So I got my construction management degree, came back to Spokane, immediately got a job with Max J. Cuny Company, and that would have been in 1976. And I was with them for 8 years as a project manager. I can think of 2 major significant projects. After my stint with Max J. Cuny Company, I spent 2 years with Hagedorn Construction in Coeur d'Alene. And at that time, I was the project manager for the Coeur d'Alene Resort, which was by far the largest project in the area. It was $30+ million over about a 1.5 year period. And that was quite a challenge, a lot of work, a short period of time. I was only like 30 years old. So it was one of those things where I'm glad I did it, but I wouldn't want to do it again like that. The other project I did was prior to that with Max J. Cuny Company was the Spokane City County Jail, $17 million multi-story prison that is right behind the courthouse. I'd have to say technology. The bricks and mortar are still bricks and mortar, but the way that we operate it, not just in construction, but every industry, with the advent of technology, we've got accounting software programs that are really, really good, project management programs, scheduling programs. With the internet and emails, texting, we are communicating much faster than we ever did before, and it's just made things a lot more efficient and a lot easier. In the old days, we'd sit down and we'd dictate or write out a letter to somebody, have the secretary draft it on the typewriter. We'd get it back, we'd correct it, she'd revise it again, and then if it was good enough, we'd sign it and send it out. That could take an hour. And nowadays, you just email whatever it is you want to say and it's done. And also the same thing with submittals. In the construction industry, there's a lot of submittals that come from the suppliers and the subcontractors that need to go through the contractor to the architect, to the owner, and then back again. With the internet, you can just send that stuff back and forth and it's done. It's not a matter of actually delivering physical submittals. Yeah, a few. Actually, a personal side, my father, Dick Brown, was president of the AGC in 1959, and he was 35 at the time. 40 years later, I was the president, and he was able to come to my inauguration, I guess, and attend that, and that was pretty special. But actually, I brought a little memento from my dad. This is his gavel that he had when he was president. I guess they used those back then. Other things, man, I don't know. We had a lot of parties, and those were always fun. Well, I had worked for a couple different contractors previous to becoming a contractor myself, and the first one was Max CUNY Company, and they were members in a big way, and so I was exposed to the AGC at that point. Several years later, when I started my own business, it seemed like a natural I should be a member because they offer a lot of services, particularly for a non-union contractor, because non-union contractors aren't really banded together, but the AGC had this side of them where we were non-union contractors within the AGC, which typically was a union association. So that was a big deal. The other thing was, as time went on, they initiated the group retro program, and companies with good safety records could get some pretty substantial rebates from the state over the years. And that was it. Outside of the fact that it just helped, I just thought it was really important to belong to the AGC to support the causes, especially the political causes that would help advance the construction industry. So just a bunch of different things, not one in particular. We are the AGC.